Hey everybody, I'm back. I just finished the part two or the second video for making stuff out of these, and I said I would show you how to do a painting that the party can interact with and how to make the merchant stall decorated. So I just painted these up and dry brushed them a little bit and hit them with a clear coat to give them kind of a permanency factor, and then I'm going to get to work. So the easiest thing to do to make picture frames is if you have colored cardstock that is a color you like that you want to use, it's really good. The other option you have is to use the back of playing cards. For example, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Just make sure I don't like the picture on the front for any kind of use that I might have. Like, I don't think I'd use that for anything. So I'm going to cut some really thin strips. And I'm going to use this to make my frame. Alright, I messed that up. So I'm going to flip it around back to the other side to get my straight edge back. And I should have enough. Plus one flew on the floor. Okay. The one that flew on the floor. There it is. Alright, so all I need to do to make my frame is I need to get a tack of glue. Just the tiniest little bit. And find a 90. Then I want to look at my wall and see how big I kind of want to make it. Okay. Okay. Something like that. I'm just eyeballing it. Doesn't have to be perfectly square, though it helps to have it kind of square, because you don't want your frame to be all wonky and terrible. Then I'm going to drag a thin bead of glue. I'm going to sturdy this up a little bit, just like that. Maybe this frame is crooked and that's what makes it interesting. Maybe that's why it catches their eye. You notice one painting without a perfectly square frame. The rectangle's off kilter a little bit. It's more of a rhomboid or something, or trapezoid, than a true rectangle. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so once you have that generic shape, you can snip off your excess. Like that. Now you've got an interesting looking frame. Just get any loose glue that you don't want. You have an interesting looking frame. And again, if it's perfectly square, it's going to be better than if you have a wonky one. But if you have a story of why yours is wonky, that'll work out. Probably should put another one there to strengthen this up. So we'll do that real quick. Since we already have the pieces cut, you know, to make it sturdy. And because I used colors that are going to be good for what I'm working on here, it's all going to be this, you know, this pattern. I don't need to paint anything. which is good because I don't want to paint anything. Okay, come back and get any loose strings or anything that you don't like, get any loose glue, and then find a magic card or something that has something that you could use as a painting, or a Yu-Gi-Oh card, or whatever you have. I want this to be a curse painting, so I'm looking for something that makes less sense. Maybe a creature or a scene, like that thing with the chains could be useful. Then I'm going to see if I can get... Yep, that's perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do... Let's just lay that on there. Just like that. Okay. Get that on there good and sturdy. Just like that. I'm going to lay that flush. Now, if you don't have magic cards or something, you could use cardstock and paint your frame, or you could use a magazine for your picture. Now it should have nice crisp outside edges. Let's get my wall. See if it fits, and it does. Okay. Now, you could also use this as a fight, if you were interested in such a thing. I'm going to just do something with that floor real quick so that it's a little more interesting than just a brown floor. I might just tuck that under a floor edge of a tile, or I might actually use that as a floor itself, freestanding. So all I'm going to do to make my life easy is I'm going to get some pavement. And a small brush. And this is just real wet. Something like that. I'm going to use the air gun on it real quick. And I'm just going to sop up that little bit of wet paint I didn't get real quick. Just using a t-shirt. I'm going to get that same brush. It's just a chunky, crappy brush with a plastic handle that I like. I'm going to get a medium gray color now. This is called pewter gray. I'm just going to get a piece of cardboard. I'm just going to simulate some quick stones on here. I'm not putting a whole lot of effort into it. And it's, you know, about 1.5 inches wide. So I'm just going to throw 4 generic stones on mine. But do yours the way you want. And that's pretty generic, but for something quick and simple and throwing it to match with generic floor tile, for me it'll work. Okay, shop stall. So I had said I wanted to have some dyes and I wanted to have some fabrics. fabrics is easy, especially if you have children or old clothes. Now, because these were underwear at one point, they actually are not colored the same on the inside as the outside. But it's going to have some fabrics I could use. This is one of my wife's shirts that got ruined. It had a really ugly owl on it, and I made fun of this shirt constantly. Kind of glad to see it dead. This was actually part of that same with the owl. It was an owl shirt too. I can't remember what they were from. Hold on, let me look. Oh, okay, I know. This is from a place she worked. And here's another blue pair of underwear. Just gonna steal some of that fabric. Okay, so for fabrics, it's easy. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these into rough little squares. I'm gonna get a tiny dab of glue. I'm going to shove that on there. I'm going to let that hang off, okay? And I'm going to do that a couple times. Some of them are going to hang off and some of them are going to sit flush. Okay? Oops. We have some different colors. Blues and purples were considered royal colors, I'm sure. Or at least purple was. I think I heard that blue was. I don't know. So I'm just going to have some swatches of fabric on here you could buy. Too easy, right? Then I'd like to have some rolled up fabric on the top. So to make my rolled up fabric, I'm just going to get a piece of toothpick. And I'm going to stick it here like that. I'm going to cut off this excess. Okay. Just like that. Okay. Then I have a roll of fabric. I want to leave that a little bit loose there. Where are my side cutters? Oh, there. Let me get my side cutter. Cut that flush. Then something like that. Fabric up there. Now I want those to hang down, right? So they're not going to the way they are. So what you have to do is you have to get a toothpick and some super glue. And super glue is nice because it'll actually soak into this fabric and darken it up. So what I'm doing is once I get some of the super glue on there, I'm going to spread it around a little better. Okay. Make sure everything's flat, and then I'm going to use it to pull my fabric down on the front. And I need to do a little bit more on the back, it looks like. It didn't soak in all the way. There we go. And then on the back. Okay. And that makes those fabrics a little darker, and it's going to make them sturdier. Now I said I wanted some dye, and that's too easy as well. So for dye, any kind of little glass beads or anything that you have could work. If you have glass beads, I don't know where mine went. Shit. Well, hell. Oh, here we go. Here's a mash up of beads. Get a toothpick. Find a color that you want to be dye. Shove that in there like so. I'm going to snip the end of that off so it doesn't stick out the bottom. Shove the end of that in there like so. Dab of glue. Stick that in a place where I want it. I'm going to let that cool there while I'm working on the next pieces. So I'm just going to find a couple colors that look like they could be dye. Like this is wood bead. I want to use glass beads. Specifically, here's blue. Okay. Okay. And if I can find a dark blue bead, maybe. And what's cool about these little glass beads is I bought like a whole pack of these for like dirt cheap. And what's great about them is they're just random shapes. Okay. Something like that. Matches the colors I'm selling there. But this guy is scandalous. And he doesn't have any yellow fabric at the moment. But he's going to sell yellow dye as well. Oh, here's one that's already cut. Shove that in there. Okay. Sweet. Now, get rid of my spider webs. I want these to be sturdy. So what to do to make this sturdy is to get some super glue, run it down so it gets on the base, just like that. And then it'll be a little shiny there until it's dry, but I wouldn't worry about it too much because when you clear coat it, it'll come off. Then, another cool thing about this is that you can, those toothpicks will be glued in there too. And so when you cut this off, it should not move. But you want to make sure you get plenty of contact underneath here. Okay, so get in there and rub your glue around. Make sure you're getting on the bottles so you have good contact area. Now I want to sturdy up this fabric so it never comes loose. So I'm just going to kind of get that up under there and push that down. Let that absorb in. Because I'm going to throw this into a drawer, probably not have it on display. I have like little plastic drawer bins. It looks like that's going to be pretty sturdy. Okay. Alright. So there's my little dye shop and dyeing fabric. And what I'm going to do is I'll snip those off real short so they're like stoppers on the bottles. My painting looks decent. It definitely does what I want it to. Could have done some sides on there and stuff, but you don't need to. It's just for theater. And how many times are you going to use this painting? Especially because it's crooked. And I don't usually use walls represented in my dungeons. I use negative space to represent walls, like stages do often. The sides and the front of the stage are considered negative space. Even though at a stage you're directly looking at the people on the stage, they're not people on the stage. They're people behind a wall usually. They're not outside. They're in a house. But you have this fourth wall. You know, like when you watch Deadpool and stuff and how they talk to the audience, you have a fourth wall in D&D. So that's all I know. That was easy and quick. Actually, I think that took longer than it did to make the shit. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, leave a comment, and all that happy crappy that helps the channel grow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.